Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make your own threaded tenons. And this would be out of metal, so it would be 5/8 inch by 1/4 inch flat bar, typically going to be steel. I don't know that they make stainless steel in 5/8, but they do, I believe, make aluminum. So either one, and aluminum is kind of nice because it's a lot easier to just deal with, than metal if you're not used to working with metal. So anyhow, what you're going to do is start with a 5/8 inch by 1/4 inch flat bar, cut them to 1 3/4 inch length. So we've got all the way from here to here, 1 3/4. And then what's going to happen is, using some sort of jig, place it into a jig. What I'll do is I'll take a couple of boards, make kind of small boards, make kind of a picture frame out of them that'll look just like a picture frame, only the inside of that would be just slightly larger than 5/8 by 1 3/4, and then that'll hold up on a drill press once you glue one of those up. If I get a chance, I'll try to make a demo of that, but I just don't know if that'll happen here. So once you've got your metal cut, then what you're going to do before you do any kind of rounding of the corners is mark your center hole. The best thing to use for that is a metal worker's center punch. It will make it a little dimple there, and that hole is at exactly 7/8 from each end. So you have 7/8 to center, and then from here to here is 7/8. Mark that. Then the next thing to do would go 9/16 in each direction. So you're going to go over to this center point and this center point. Those are going to be 9/16 inch away from the center, or you can go just double check if you want 5/16, 5/16. Again, these are all to center points, and again, using that metalworker's punch, then that's going to do two things. It's going to mark it, but it's also going to hold that drill bit in place. Then what you're going to do is, using a 17/64 metal type drilling bit, then use a 17/64. I highly recommend doing it in a drill press, because the outer two holes, the accuracy and so on is not that critical, and even if you're a little bit off on the angle, you're okay. But the center hole is really sensitive to being perfectly straight through the material, and if it's not, then what's going to happen is that when you try putting that bolt in there, like, let me just see if I have a drawing. Okay, so we're going to have a bolt coming in through here, through that center, and if that hole is crooked, then the bolt is going to have a hard time also coming through there, and because you're going to be coming up through 1 inch of wood to get that bolt in there, and it's going to be crooked. So let's go back to our drawing. Okay, so again, I highly recommend using a drill press for all of those holes. And then once that drill press, all the holes are pressed, then use a 5/16 tap. So that's written down here. That would be a 5/16 by 8 thread tap for metal. Again, make sure it's for metal. And again, there's some instructions written down, but also the best thing to do is, again, wait until you have mounted this on the, let's see if I can hide that. Okay, so you've got it mounted on the end of the riser, and so you've already used a vise, and there's some instructions on how to mount it on the riser, but you mount it on the riser. Well, when you do that, in those instructions, it's going to tell you to make basically kind of like a deep countersink here, and that's for that excess bolt to go through. It has to have some place to go. So once this threaded tenon is mounted on the end grain of the riser, then it's nice and stable, and then you can put the whole riser in a vise, and then just take your tap, put it in the hole and run it through, and that excess tap will also go into that hole. Now you'll have a little bit of grunge from the tapping oil and a little bit of the metal, but it's not the end of the world. Not going to be a super big issue. So you've got that. Now your tenon is all complete, except for this, is that if you make your mortises with a router, then you're going to have a rounded corner here, or if you're using a drill bit to make the three overlapping hole method, then that you're going to have to try to match this up. So the easiest thing to do is typically going to be to use a chisel in the wood to match the 90-degree corners of the steel. But if that doesn't work, or if you're a lot into woodworking more and you have the tools to do it and everything else, again, that's one way to do that. But otherwise, what you can do, a really simple way to do it to get rid of the round corners, is use a metal workers grinder and just take, and let's see if I can just demonstrate how to do that. Yep, okay, so you take and round those corners off, and it's not rocket science, and you don't have to be really careful about it. Just get close, make sure you take a little bit more material off than not enough, and then that'll fit right into a mortise that has the rounded corners on it. Now I do this all the time because I use a CNC to make a lot of the mortises, and that's going to use a 1/4 inch bit, which is going to make a 1/8 inch radius here, 1/4 inch diameter, right? And then this way it fits right in. So that's how you'd make your metal tenons, or it could be synthetic material. You can use aluminum, you can use stainless steel, especially if it's going to be an outdoors project. But you're all set to go with your DIY threaded metal tenons.